Back out here again on our next Sabbath, bringing out the word of the Most High God. Alright, first and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Yahweh being who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahushai being who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So, come back here today in the streets to speak about basically marriage, or husbands love your wife, as well as wives submit yourself unto your husbands. Right? Because we're seeing in these days, which part, yeah, you're seeing plenty marriage problems, or people quick to leave the marriage, and we know what the scriptures say about leaving a marriage, or how to act in a marriage as a man or a wife. Right? This is the book of Colossians 3 and verse 19. Say, husbands, love your wives and be not better against them. Right? So it's on here, as a husband, you're supposed to love your wife and don't be better against them. Right? You don't want to be like a lion in the house as well. Right? You don't want to just be vexed and abusive. Right? You want to love your wife and don't be better. Right? Things like you being selfish, or like you just treating your wife off. Like she would like ask for someone, you just say, well, I don't care. Get yourself, you understand, and not like show interest. Right? You want to treat your wife with love. Otherwise, as the scripture say, that your prayers could be hindered. Right? So again, it's a husbands, love your wives and be not better against them. Right? Bring this out. Right.
Right, so this is First Peter 3 and verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands dwell with them according to knowledge.
Gone. So as a husband, you had to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, right? You had to move in wisdom. Right? Read on.
Giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel.
Gone. So you had to understand that your wife would be the weaker vessel. So things that we could manage, or things that we could bear, right? Them would have struggles with it. So you have to, in other words, bring yourself down to their level sometimes to understand them. So more like you have to understand them weaker, they suffer, so you have to, in other words, can't just act like if it's an ex-man that you're dealing with and expect them to be just like you. Right? Read on.
And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
Can. So move with them according to knowledge, right? Acknowledge that them is the weaker vessel, right? Because if you just be hasty and you be ignorant, right, your prayers could be hindered, right? If you move better with your wife, your prayers could be hindered, right? So you have to move with wisdom, right? You can't just be over righteous, or in other words, selfish, right? Because Lord could not hear your prayers if you're not dealing righteously with your wife, right? This is the book of Ephesians 5 and verse 25, right? And it says, husbands, love your wives, even as Hamashiach also loved the church. So that's how Yahushai loved the church, and the church being Israel, right? And we know how much times the Lord speak about how we love Israel, or how Israel is a special people unto himself, right? With that, you will give Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Right? So it say, husbands, love your wife just as how Christ loved the church, right? So bring yourself from God.
This is Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So the Lord chooses Israel to be a special people unto himself because he loves Israel. So same way, it's saying here, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church. So if the Lord chooses Israel, right? If Israel be in the church and the Lord chooses Israel to love Israel, call Israel a special people unto himself, same way a husband has to dwell with his wife, right? You have to love your wife, right? That'll be specialty, right? Don't like treat her bad and make her feel unwanted, or make her feel like if she's nothing, understand? I see man and I'm almighty, understand? That just moving in ignorance, right? So it's a husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it, right? So sometimes now you might have to sacrifice things that you like, therefore, to, in other words, accommodate your wife. So let me say, all right, for example, You mightn't like watching movies so much, right? You probably are more sports person, right? Or your wife like watching movies or that kind of romantic stuff, right? You would put aside some of the stuff you like sometimes to just accommodate your wife, you understand? So let's say husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. So it's not bad if you had to like sacrifice a little things for your wife, like in other words, sacrifice things that you like doing just to accommodate your wife and understand how she would be as a woman, right? With that, you will give me Genesis 2 and 24.
This is Genesis 2 and verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and he shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
And so a man would leave his father and his mother, right, and cleave unto his wife. Therefore, we know all of us grew up with parents, but it will have that time which part you would have to leave your parents and move on with your wife, right? And they both shall be one flesh, right? So when they married, right, therefore they would become one flesh. So in other words, if it's one flesh, you're not going and treat yourself bad. So therefore, to have nobody that would treat themselves bad, everybody would want the best for themselves. So if you and your wife is one flesh, you wouldn't treat your wife bad because why? You want the best for yourself as well because the wife also represents you, right? Um, Good thing. Bring that out again.
Salakia.
Let me get
Right, so this is Genesis 2 and verse 24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
God. So again, you and your wife is one flesh, so you wouldn't treat yourself bad, right? So you would treat your wife good because your wife being part of you as well as your wife represents you, right? You don't want you don't want to treat your wife bad and then cause her to go out there and then she acting a fool or out of spirit and they would say there is not so so wife or there is not right John wife, you understand? Therefore that would reflect badly on you, right? This is the book of Ephesians 4 and verse 31. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender hearted, forgiving one another, even as the Most High for Hamashiach's sake hath forgiven you. Right? So you want to be kind with your wife, right? We know men would be more on the rough side, more on the rugged side, right? We know some men might like all the lovey-dovey and the romantics all the time, but you have to understand, right? You gotta sacrifice a little bit because that's woman more tender and soft, right? It's say, and be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, right? We know in a marriage, not just going to be all hugs and kisses and rainbows, right? At one time, which part you don't see eye to eye, or it will have well arguments and whatnot, right? So therefore, marriage have a lot to do with forgiving, right? Because even as Christ forgive us, right? We have to be able to forgive our wives, or even as or even as wives, supposed to forgive their husbands as well, right? So even as the Most High for Christ's sake had forgiven you, so that's also you would want Christ to forgive you, right? You see, if your wife accidentally put too much pepper on your food, that don't mean you're going to rage out and like fling the plate and these kind of things, right? You would tell her, all right, next time just put a little less, you know. I don't mean that you had to throw a tantrum and these kind of things, right? So, as Christ forgive us, we have to forgive our wives as well as wives have to forgive husbands as well, right? Um,
King, I have a precept on it.
go on, yeah.
Right, so this is Ephesians 5 and verse 28. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies.
Go on. So, men, love your wife as your own body, right? And as I was saying before, nobody never treat themselves bad other than like if they demon possess or something, you'd see people cutting up the skin and that kind of thing. But a normal person would never treat themselves bad. Everybody would say, I want the best for myself and I want to look nice, and you know. So therefore nobody would treat themselves bad, right? Bring that out again thing. So okay.
Ephesians 5 and verse 28 from it up. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies.
Can you know?
He that loveth his wife loveth himself.
Can. So I tell you here, a man that love your wife, love yourself. Because why? All is one flesh. And nobody would treat themselves bad. So a man who love his wife, as it say here, would love himself. Because if you love your wife, right, it come like if you doing yourself good. Because when you love your wife and you treat her good, she would, it just in her spirit, right, that nature and spirit to treat you good, take care of you, them kind of things. So therefore, it come like if you're taking care of yourself by just loving your wife. So it's like if a chain effect, right? You put out this, therefore you would get back this. You understand? So come like a chain effect. So if you love your wife, that means you would love yourself. Alright? This is Sirach 9 and verse 9. It says, sit not at all with another man's wife, nor sit down with her in thine arms. Alright? So, you know, when I sit down with an next man's wife, right, and talk and say, well, you know, today work was hard and these kind of things, right? Let's say, no, sit down with her in thine arms, right? Never going sit down with a man's wife and a hand over her, and you know, and they're talking that off, right? Anybody, even in the world, man will tell you, yo, that off, right? Even stuff like, if a man think that you're watching his wife too much, right? A man wouldn't like that, right? So therefore, it's telling here in the scriptures, and spend not thy money with her at the wine, right? You know, like men, they like to go in the bar, you understand, and they would see a group of females and they would like buy drinks to them whatnot, right? You don't want to spend your money at the wine, therefore why, right? Lest thine heart incline unto her, right? So when you start spending time with her and spending money on her, right, as human beings, you will eventually start catching feelings to this person or liking this person. And we know if you like liking a man, wife, or with these kind of things, right? You know you'll be going off and it could eventually lead to adultery, right? So to prevent all of that, don't sit down with no man, wife, or even as wives, not supposed to be sitting down with the next man because you're married, right? And so through thy desire thou shalt fall into destruction, right? Because if you do these things, right, if you like lie with a man, wife, and it's all right, we're gonna take a few drinks, this completely off by itself, and then it will tell you why, because your heart will incline unto, and then you would fall into destruction. Why? Because eventually you would commit adultery and you would die, right? That would be upon both of you. So therefore, you don't want to sit down with a man, wife, and be all friendly with a man, wife, right? And it have some men, right? I tell you, let's be self-familiar, but jealousy is the wrath of a man, right? So have men that you see like in um instances which what men come home or even stuff like in movies, you see which what men come home and they see an adultery going on with their wife, right? And you see that they end up killing the wife or killing the man or like killing both of them. You understand? I mean, it's not justifiable to do that, but to tell you jealousy is the wrath of a man. Not saying that it's a right thing to do that, but it's not wise for you to even do that because who knows what spirit could be on the husband in that day, right? And he would not spare, right? By the time you get her,
Proverbs 6 and 34.
all right, go ahead. So, all right, by the time you get her, this is the book of Hebrews. You have it there?
Yeah.
All right, come on, go ahead.
This is Proverbs 6 and verse 34. For jealous for jealousy is the rage of a man.
Can, right? So jealousy, right? Therefore would be wrath of a man, you know. A man who jealous, especially when it comes to his wife, right? Because you know men possessive, right? Men would portray that kind of possessive spirit. Therefore, what is mine is mine, right? Even self with the animals and all, right? Like lions as well, or like with the animals, or even like with dogs as well, right? You would see that anytime a next male dog come around, right? The basically my bad. So if you have a male and a female dog in one yard and a next male dog come around, you would see that that male dog in the yard would go and defend. He would go and show his dominance, right? Because he knows that this next male dog is coming to, in other words, interact. So he would go and show his dominance, therefore saying that what is mine is mine. Even like with lions as well, you would see it in the animals that they very possessive. So even so with men, right? You know, man play around a man, right? Because a man possessive, especially when it comes to his wife, right? Go ahead, Ken.
So I'll start it from the top, right?
Yeah.
For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance.
So therefore, when a man come home and see adultery going on, one time he jealous, right? And let's say jealousy is the heart of a man. So he immediately jealous because that is a man infiltrating your possession, a man in your household. Therefore, that will and bring rage, and he would not spare. And we see it in reality, which part we see down here as well. Right, which part a man would kill the outside man as well as the wife because he catch them, you understand? So it's saying that he would not spare in that time. So not saying that it's justifiable to do that because you know, right, you would have to face the law and whatnot after that is murder. But it's telling you that it's reality. So a man would not spare in that time. Right? It's the book of Hebrews, right? 13 and verse 4. It says marriage is honorable in all, right? By the time we will hold Proverbs 5 and 18, right? So it says marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. So marriage is honorable, right? It is a honorable thing to get married to a wife, you understand? Separate from your mother and father and even to your wife, right? Get married to your wife is an honorable thing, right? And the bed undefiled, right? The bed undefiled, therefore, the file bed basically is like the fornicating, adultery, that bed defiled like sin, right? When you're married, that is your wife, that bed not undefiled, right? Therefore, you could do as you please with your wife, right? So that bed not defiled, but a defiled bed is like you committing fornication or adultery, understand? So, but with marriage, honorable and the bed undefiled, right? But whoremongers and adulterers, the Most High will judge, right? A whoremonger, right? A man just going around and he everything passed, right? He want to get down, right? As a whoremonger, right? I just fornicating, right? Anything past you want to get down, right? Whoremongers and adulterers, the Most High will judge. So if you married and you get along with your wife, right? The Most High see that undefiled. But if you going around the place fornicating, right, being a whoremonger, Lord will judge you, right? You would be put to death. Who knows? Might end up with a disease, right? The Lord would judge you for doing that because why? That defiled, right? Go ahead, King. Bring this on.
Right, this is Proverbs 5 and verse 18. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with thy wife, with the wife of thy youth.
Read
Let her
on.
let her be as the loving hide and pleasant robe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love.
Go on. So basically it's saying, right? Love the wife of the youth, you understand? Or like take care of your wife, you understand? Be satisfied with your wife, right? Don't be too greedy, right? Because greed as well can lead you to go off. You know, you have a wife home, taking care of you, cooking, cleaning in the spirit, right? Reading, fasting, right? Asking you questions, right? Asking you to teach us certain things, you understand? A wife in the spirit, right? A righteous woman to the spirit, right? But greed now could take you over and you go out there and you're seeing other things and you're not, in other words, content with what you have because yes, it would have things more attracting to the eye, but you're not just going and go out there and lose control of yourself, right? That's why I tell you to lust after a female as well, right? So you don't want greed bring you to fall into sin, right? So therefore, love the wife of the youth, you understand? Who knows? You might have your wife, let me say, like since teens growing up, right? And then you came into the truth and make that female your wife, right? Therefore, you would love that woman, treat her right, you understand? And be satisfied with her, right?
Right, so going back again.
Okay.
Right, so this is Proverbs 5 and verse 18 from the top once more again. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as a loving hide and pleasant robe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love.
Alright, gone. Me Sirach 26. Right? This is the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 36 and 24. It says, he that getteth a wife begetteth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. So he that getteth, so like he that getteth a wife begetteth a possession. Right? And just as we have seen earlier, men possessive. Therefore, he that getteth a wife getteth a possession. So he owned this wife, right? That is his possession. I don't mean he would go around being off, I own you. No, moving in righteousness, right? So he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, right? That's his wife, right? A help like unto himself, a help like unto himself, a help meet, right? It's like how Mosai, right? In other words, gave Adam Eve, right? Therefore, help, right? Therefore, you know, a man might be out there working whole day, right? And the wife would be home. So therefore, if he was by himself and after working all day, he still had to come home and had to figure out what to eat. You know? Who knows, he might have dirty clothes, these kind of things, right? Or the house probably dirty, right? If you have a wife as a help, therefore, while you're out there making money to sustain your family, when you come home and you have a wife that is a help like unto yourself, therefore certain things would be done in the house. So it's a help, right? And it goes hand in hand. It's like how the man will go out there and really labor and take care of his household. When he come home, the household is taken care of. So it have roles to play as well, right? So a help like unto himself, right? Reading on. And a pillar of rest, right? A pillar of rest and not a pillar of stress. You know, some women, right, would be stressful unto their husbands, right? But as the scripture say here, right, it's supposed to be a pillar of rest. So therefore, a man is supposed to be coming home, right, after fighting a battle with the world, trying to stay in spirit, right, come home and fight a next battle, right? So he's supposed to have a loving nature and wife, right? Go ahead, King, bring down.
This is Ecclesiastes 4 and 30. That's
Uh,
what I want to write. Be
go ahead,
not,
bring.
be not a roaring, be not as a lion in thy house.
Right, so say to be a lion in your house, meaning you walk around almighty, you know, and when you come home, your wife and the children scared, right, because you're abusive or you're frightened, or they be like, gosh, daddy come home, you know, like be smiles when you come in your house, like be, you know, like happiness, right, hugs, right, not you come home and you close your door and everybody like, gosh, or they're scared, or everybody go to the room because daddy come. And now that uh, that is not a home, that is a house, right? So you don't want to be a lion in your household, right? Read on.
Nor frantic among thy servants.
Can. So you don't want to be off in your household. You don't want to act over righteous and almighty. And alright, I see man in here, so I say do this. I don't want to hear nothing, do it. Right, that off. Right, as I say, right, as you say before, right? It say you want to acknowledge the wife being the weaker vessel, so therefore I don't understand certain things wouldn't be like how we would, my bad, like how a man would understand some, a woman might not understand it that way. So I don't understand, right? The wife would be the weaker vessel. She had to like bring down your toe and you understand, move tender, right? Not just going and come home and be alone in your house, right? This is the book of Sirach 26 and verse 1. It says, blessed is the man that hath a virtuous wife, for the number of his days shall be double. Alright? So a man, it says, blessed is the man that have a virtuous wife. Right? So if a man have a virtuous wife, right? A loving wife, a wife who in the spirit, a wife who taking care of the household, right? Say, blessed is that man, as well as for the number of his days shall be double, right? So that man will have more life if he have a virtuous wife. Let's say a virtuous woman rejoiceth her husband, and he shall fulfill the years of his life in peace. So therefore, if a man have a virtuous wife, a loving wife, right, he know, alright, when I go to work all day, it's hard, right? Laborious, because we know how these enemies just have us working all day, right? Hot sun, right? Early morning, late nights. You know, if you have a virtuous wife, when you reach home, right? Food cooked, place clean, right? Bibles out, waiting, everything in order, right? You know when I go home, yes, it's peace, so I could relax. So even if outside, I don't have that peace. When I go home, I have a virtuous wife, so I would be expecting that peace. I know when I go home, the peace, right? A good wife is a good portion which shall be given in the portion of them that fear the Lord. Right? So if you fear the Lord, you're upright and you're doing that the most I expect of you, he would give you a good wife, right? You gotta go out there and study about, oh, I don't have a wife, I'm gonna get a wife. Right? You just do what the most I expect of you as a man. Read, fast, spread this word, stay in spirit, right? Therefore, the Lord will give you a wife. You don't study about ways. I do have a wife and each brother have a wife and I just lonely, right? And as well as not saying that you shouldn't get a wife, but if you don't have a wife, you'd have more time to spend in the scriptures. But it's a very good thing to have a wife, right? As it say, no, there's no one, right? But can say, all right. So this is Sirach 36 and 7, right? I'll start at verse 6. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicateth with all. An evil wife is a yoke shaken to and fro. Alright, so an evil wife, right, is alright, a wife basically who nothing is spirit, worldly, like a Eve, right? So you have a evil wife is like if a yoke being shake to and fro. Now we know if you have a yoke around your neck and you're like shaking that, it's right, that stressful, like it's pain. Understand? So you don't want to have an evil wife, right? Let's say he that hath hold of her is as though he held a scorpion. So a man who have hold of an evil wife is like if you see a scorpion neighbor and pick it up, right? You know that would sting you, right? It could kill you, right? So therefore having an evil wife, right? It can put you under stress, right? It can cause you to go off, right? Gone. Son, alright. So that you give Revelation 18 and 21.
So this is the book of Revelation 18 and 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone, like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying,
Now with love,
thus with violence,
now with peace and joy and happiness.
thus with violence
Gone, you know?
shall that great city Babylon be thrown down,
Gone. So that's with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, right? You done?
and shall be found no more at all.
Gone. Absolutely wasted, right? So with that, most I will Israelites edify and understand how a husband is supposed to move with his wife as well as a wife being submissive unto her husband, right? So with that, we want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh,
Hashem, Yahushai,
right? With that, death to America and death to this wicked world.
Shalom.
Shalom.